I started this channel about a year ago, and I started it with the intention of being able to work through my issues, get some things out, meet some people, trade stories, and let other victims of abusive narcissists know they're not alone. And this channel has taken off faster and better than I could ever have imagined. And one of the effects of it is people in my old town are becoming quite aware of the channel, and friends of my parents are quite aware and have begun pointing things out that my parents do and showing me things of how I was right about certain things. And you know I do talk about my parents on this blog, for the intention of with the intention of relating my stories to other people, get some feedback, let other people know they're not alone. You know, and my intention is never to engage my parents directly, because that's kind of what they're looking for. But sometimes things are brought to my attention that are just so egregious that a video has to be made and it needs to be addressed directly. And that really is going to get into the heart of what this video is about. And this video is about the never-ending entitlement of the narcissist, and how the narcissist doesn't see what they're doing, and when other people begin to see through their narcissistic traits, mainly because you're talking about it. Now you're bringing this out, and you're bringing it to the forefront, and you're bringing it to attention. Now people are going to start cluing in on it. Even people who might have at first rejected it, you will start to see after some time they might start recontacting you, like, hey, I thought about it. You know what? I've been looking at it. You're right. And this was pointed out to this. This is a post that was pointed out to me from my parents' Facebook page from last July. And the narcissism, the entitlement, it knows no bounds. So I'm going to dissect this thing right now, because I think it's important, for people to see how these narcissists really work. And if you really look at what they're saying and analyze their own words and their own writings, you can tear it apart, and you can expose them for exactly the type of people they are. And they will stop being able to fool so many people. But it has to start with somebody like me or somebody like you calling it out and going no contact and staying no contact. So here we go. This post is from July the 9th of 2013. And what it is, it's a forward of a link from a New Jersey website about Hurricane Sandy, and where my parents' vacation home is located on Long Beach Island. And apparently there is a group of homeowners who own beachfront property on the island who do not want to sign an easement to allow 10 or 12-foot sand dunes to be built in front of their house. Because their argument is, and it's a pretty legitimate argument, is the sand dunes don't stop anything. You had sand dunes, and the second the water comes in, it washes it away, and you're going to build up these sand dunes, block the oceanfront view, which a lot of these are rental properties, and you pay more for rent for an oceanside view property. So It affects their rental rates. It affects their homeowner values, and they want to be, if they're going to be forced to do this, they want to be properly compensated, okay, for something that has been proven doesn't work. They're erecting these 10 to 12 foot sand dunes. They don't stop anything. It's a pile of loose sand. There's loose sand in the water. There's loose sand on the beach. That water comes in. A pile of loose sand isn't stopping anything. Anything. You could see what water does. It won't work. So they have a legitimate concern. On to my parents. So with that little bit of background, on to the post. How selfish are these beachfront owners? Let me tell you, between the beach entrances at 72nd and 75th Streets, there is an owner who owns 2 beachfront rental properties who refuses to sign the easement for the dune system. One of the properties is a real mess, and he rents to the most inconsiderate people who allow their children to climb all over the dunes, destroying them and more each year. I know because we sit on the beach right in front of his house. Okay. First of all, anybody who knows Long Beach Island, there are 18 miles of beach. 18 miles of beach. I know the houses they're talking about. Okay, they're rental properties. There's different people in there every week. Okay, some are decent tenants. Some tenants are better than other tenants. The problem with my parents is they tip their hand. Children climbing on the dunes. Well, how are the children climbing on the dunes affecting you in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact they just don't like children? They want children to be seen and not heard. You know, they feel everybody's child should be like me, who sat in a corner and didn't say a freaking word. If a child comes and asks their mother for a drink of water or an ice cream, to me, to them, that's an unruly child that needs to be dealt with. Okay, so the perspective of, you know, he just rents to people who let children climb all over the. No, he rents to families, and those are kids being kids. The fact that you don't like it, too bad. And I used to tell them this. I'm like, who are you to tell them what they should do with their own property? You know, back in the day, because they were bitching. They bitch about everybody on the beach. But again, they feel that they have the right to tell people what to do with their own property. Okay? I know this because we sit on the beach right in front of this house. Well, move. If you don't like it, there's 18 miles of beach. But for some reason, you decided this is where you want to sit on an 18 miles of beach, and he should have to change who he rents to, who are obviously paying top rates, because you can't rent shorefront property on that island for less than, I think, about, maybe if you looked up now after the storm, you could get one for $5,000 a week. But back a couple years ago, before this, I don't think you could touch it for less than $7,500 to $10,000 per week. Per week. And you're going to tell these people like what they could do with their property? It continues. I know this because we sit on the beach right in front of his house. So tell me where the owner is losing his views. He is never there, and the lowlifes he rents to could care less about the view. Well, that is one hell of a statement. Are you interviewing everybody he rents to? How do you know what everybody he rents to cares about a view or not? You don't. This is what the narcissist does. They build up in their head what you should do on your property, who you should rent to, what you should do with it. And then they make a declarative statement that nobody cares who rents. He has 2 rental properties. Each is a 2-family, so that's 4 rentals going on at once, because each property is 2 separate units. I know the properties. Okay, so she has interviewed all 4 tenants for the 10-week, 40 interviews. They're conducting 40 interviews. Nobody cares about the views. Nobody cares, but they're paying 10 grand for beachfront rental property during the summer in a summer location, but they don't give a shit about the views. Only a narcissist. Only a narcissist. And if you're not keen to this, you can very easily not, if you don't stop and think about this, a ridiculous statement like this, that the lowlifes he rents to could care less about the view. I mean, they wrote this. This is their words. They wrote this insanity. And it continues. And it continues. They leave their soda and beer cans along with their garbage all over the beach. I know because I clean it up all the time. Now, I was going to that beach for 15 to 17 years before I went no contact. There's never any glass. This is all made up in their head. Or, as it works in my family, they might have found one soda can from 2 years ago. You'll be hearing about that fucking soda can now for the next 40 years. You'll be hearing about that thing. And they'll make it like it was this strewn about. Oh, it could have been one soda can they found, but that's it. It's like you'll hear about it now for 40 years going forward because that's how the psychosis works. Okay. And the other point is I clean it up all the time. Now, anybody who knows my parents and has been around my parents in a social setting knows that if it ain't at their house, they don't do shit. They don't pick up. They don't throw anything out. They're like animals. They come in like animals, like entitled animals. It's like a mixture of Antoinette from France and just savages. Oh, let them eat cake. That's them. That's Laura and Brian right there. That type of disgusting entitlement. Let them eat cake as they're scratching their asses. Yet they're going to call the people this guy rents to lowlifes. The guy who has, 2 beachfront properties probably worth well over $1 million each. Narcissism, man. Moving on. The damage done by Sandy in this area from the beach to the bay is in the millions. Every house on our block that wasn't raised, first floor was completely destroyed. We lost everything, including our deck, our boat, and we had major structural damage. Now we are still fighting with our insurance, flood, for payment. Maybe I should ask this beachfront owner to pay me. The unfairness of the entire situation is unbelievable. Let's see. We have carried flood insurance for 20 years, increasing the coverage each year $235,000 at present, as the insurance company requested, and they can't pay us. What we have spent is horrible. By the way, where did all that money collected for Sandy victims go? Not to me, that's for sure. I hope Governor Christie can change things and get these losers to sign the easement as he promised he would during this last visit to LBI. That's the name of the island. Everyone stay safe and have a great summer. Now, the way my mother's talking, the way my parents are talking, you would think they're out on the street, right? No. This is their vacation home. Now, there are actual people that who are affected by Hurricane Sandy that have lost their homes, that are still living in trailers, okay, because they can't get money. And these selfish, narcissistic assholes are on Facebook crying about their fucking vacation home. Their vacation home and their boat. Their boat. They're not a fishing boat, a luxury boat that they go zipping around the bay with. A boat which my mother said to my girlfriend while on it, said, what do poor people do for fun? Now let me get even a little deeper into how fucked up that this whole Sandy thing is coming from these two narcissistic assholes. Okay? Because it goes to show the level of narcissism and entitlement that this narcissist abuser has, and how they will just go out and actively seek out sympathy for their vacation home and their boat. So let's rehash. The damage done by Sandy in this area from the beach to the bay is in the millions, which is absolutely true. Now, if you know anything about Long Beach Island, it's on the Jersey Shore. It is an island. It is an island that at its widest point is only a half a mile long, and that's only in one spot of the island. Most of the island, average width, is less than a quarter mile wide from the bay side to the ocean side. Okay? And then the mile is 18 miles, then the island is 18 miles of basically a quarter mile of land. Ocean on one side, Barnegat Bay on the other. Moving on. Every house that wasn't raised, first floor was completely destroyed, which is absolutely true. Now, what they mean by raised is these houses down the shore, most of them are put up on pilings, on stilts, either anywhere from 6 to 12 feet up in the air, raised up. So that way when the water comes in and floods, it just washes over through the pilings, and once the water recedes, it washes back. Okay? Makes sense. Now, my parents, and I had talked about this, I think, in an earlier video, when one of the people my father had sued was an architect planner who had planned to raise up the shore house on stilts. Okay, so it would be insured, it wouldn't flood on the first floor. But my parents wouldn't do it, if you remember the story, because they had a deck off the front of their house. And once the house was raised, they couldn't have the deck because of property codes. And the reason being is because these are all vacation properties, they don't want these raised up decks street side because they are vacation properties, and they don't want tons of people at all hours of the night in front of the house drinking on the front of the deck, raised up high. They didn't want it. So the architect said they could have it. It turned out they couldn't. My father ended up suing. I've already told that story. So, long story short, so to get to the point, they didn't end up having the house raised so they could keep their deck and their bay view. Their view was the reason why they never raised their freaking house. The same type of view that they have decided the beachfront owner should have to give up is the reason why their house got destroyed, for their view. But it's okay for their view to be protected, but not the oceanfront view to be protected, because they make the rules and they decide for everybody else what the rules are. And for them to complain about the insurance company not paying for everything. Well, if you're an insurance company, okay, and you know you had the opportunity to raise your house and you refuse to do it for your view, now the insurance company is supposed to pay when that fucking thing gets damaged? Really? You made an active decision to keep your house that way, and it didn't have to be for your view. And you get pissed off that the insurance company basically said won't pay for every little thing because you have to take partial responsibility for your own goddamn house being destroyed because of your view and their boat being washed away. Let me tell you the reason why their boat got washed away and probably isn't getting paid for is because it's a seasonal place. So if you have a boat, you have to take it out of the water in the wintertime because the water does freeze and ice and it'll get damaged. So what most people do is they put it in dry dock. And when you put a boat in dry dock, they take it out of the water, they put it up on these big lifts, and these steel lifts that are anchored down, and the boat is anchored to the lift, and then it's put up in the air. Well, that's not what my parents do with their boat. They take their boat and they put it in their backyard, and they come and the marina company comes and they put it up on cinder blocks with wood and they level it and they just leave it out in the backyard, which is fine. Except your house is 50 yards away from water. So if there's a storm, you've left a floating vehicle 50 yards away from water, unsecured, unanchored. So you're living on a sandbar to begin with. And you take no precautions for your own boat. And now you want the insurance company to pay for it when a storm comes in. You got it sitting 50 yards from water and washes it away. This is why actual Sandy victims can't get their claims paid for, because of assholes like Laura and Brian who go out and play victim over their luxury boats, their fucking beach houses, crying on Facebook that their house got destroyed. In the same post where you're criticizing somebody for trying to protect their views and their property values, okay? You're going to complain that your house got destroyed, okay, and won't get paid for, but your house got destroyed because you wanted to protect your views and keep your stupid deck. That's how the narcissist works. That's the entitlement of the narcissist. That's what'll get, and that's what living around these people will damage you, will damage your thinking. Because let me tell you something, if I was still up there and in that situation, I wouldn't be able to see this for what the fuck it is. Excuse me. Riddled with narcissism. Riddled with narcissism. And the fact that they talk about the $235,000 that they have to carry on this house. Let me remind you how they got this house to begin with. Okay? This house they got for, I think, $140,000. The house is worth well over $500,000 at this point. They got the house with the money my father got from scamming the other house away from the woman across the street. And these people are going to come into Facebook and complain and look for fucking sympathy and point their fingers at other people trying to protect what's best for them and their investments. At the same time, playing victim. Playing victim for their short house that only got destroyed because of their own selfishness, greed, and narcissism. That's the narcissism. That's the entitlement of the narcissism. And that's why once you've got no contact with these people, you can't go back. Not ever. Not ever. How do you reward behavior like this? This behavior this behavior is rampant. Out there trolling for sympathy. And luckily, I think most of their friends are catching on because nobody, it seems like, from what this person is saying and what they've shown me, nobody pays attention to them anymore. Nobody pays. So I think my channel's having desired effect. But this is the one sap that commented. My heart goes out to you and others who have suffered. Unfortunately, these organizations get rich from the donations, not the people who need it. Sadly, that's why I never donate, yada, yada, yada. Suffered. My parents haven't suffered. You know where my parents went when Hurricane Sandy hit? The first place they flew out to Denver to go break my brother's balls. That's what they did. So they can, as they went out there playing like they were Sandy refugees from New Jersey, having to evacuate to fucking Denver. It was their goddamn beach house that they got basically because they stole a house from an old woman who got them to will it to them. And they're out there looking for sympathy and passing judgment on other people. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The narcissist will tell you and everybody else exactly who they are and what they're doing. You just got to be able to get away and get clear and get no contact, and you'll be able to see these things for what they are, and you'll be able to see things with a clarity if you have never seen them before. And as much as I wouldn't want to give them the attention by reading one of their posts on my channel, this, you know, I just have to, because if this isn't case closed of what a narcissist is and how you can never, ever, ever deal with this narcissist again, I don't, you know, you're just never gonna, there's just no way of making the case. There's no way of making the case. The only way I would think you could possibly even consider breaking the no contact with the narcissist is if that narcissist comes to you first with an apology. I'm sorry, I don't know why I did it. And that narcissist should have to come to you, you know, with the full expectation and be able to accept the fact that you're not ready to accept their apology. Anything short of that, don't even consider letting the narcissist back in your life. Why would you? You can't let anybody talk you into it. And the reason I say this is I saw a post from somebody who I like a lot, who I consider, you know, one of my originals and somebody I'm friendly with, where, you know, there was a situation where, you know, somebody told this person, well, why just let the father back in and see him, and you know, and I understand if you're not coming from like, to live under that tension, it's got to be tough on both sides. It does. But you have to stay strong, because if you allow that narcissist to come back and reward that narcissist for doing nothing, okay, but using someone else to get at you, then that narcissist hasn't changed at all. They're still doing the same narcissistic tactics they always have, and you can't reward them. Unless that narcissist comes to you on their own, without anybody else stands before you or calls you, on their own, and is willing to face the consequences and the wrath of whatever you have to hand down on them, then you can't even consider having any contact with them, because they haven't shown you that they can change in the most minimal amount. So don't do it once you're no contact. Don't do it. Okay, everybody, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for, you know, listening to the Lauren Bryan saga again. It really is amazing. You know, I got to say it. It really is amazing when it's like, oh, you know, you almost want to say, oh my God, your vacation home was destroyed? I didn't know. What color ribbon is you? What color ribbon do you wear for a destroyed vacation house? I don't know. I don't know. For a washed away luxury, what color? I don't know. Whatever the color of asshole is, maybe. Let's figure out what the color of asshole is, and that'll be your ribbon. For a destroyed beach house, and I'm going to go complain about on Facebook, you get asshole-shaped ribbon. You got asshole-covered ribbon for you. That's your ribbon. Unbelievable. But if this isn't proof of you can't change a narcissist, and a narcissist will never change, I don't know. I don't know what is. All right, everybody. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for all the support. And I'll see you all again real soon. Thanks. Bye.